mystery writers. It's Mystery Fix. I'm Zara Altair, mystery writer and coach. And today I want to talk about your villain, right and wrong. Because the true pleasure of mystery readers is trying to discover who the killer is before your detective does. But actually, that's not really true, because if they do, they're kind of disappointed in your story. They want to be completely mystified until the end. And it's the big puzzle and the draw of the genre. So the challenge for you as a mystery writer is to create a villain who's understandable, relatable, and yet hidden until the very last moment of your mystery. The best approach to understanding your villain is to look at their worldview. Because in the villain's eyes, their beliefs and actions are justified. And in their world, they're the good guy. And the villain may feel unjustly harmed by the victim, or his killing may feel to him like justifiable revenge, or her cold-blooded calculation is rational in her belief system. So however you conceive the villain's motivation, throughout the story, they will remain firm that their world is correct and the killing justified. So your villain is right in their world, while wrong in the world of your story. And I think that's something that we need to understand as writers, and that we need to work on. I personally find it very challenging to get the villain right. So what's the villain portrait like in your mystery? So I've said it before and I'll say it again. The actual details really don't matter. So your villain can be a smooth talker, a buffoon, or a monosyllabic thug to the rest of the world and the other characters in your story. But you, as the writer, need to present the villain as he sees himself as you write your story. And when he speaks with other characters, especially your sleuth, the villain sees himself as the good guy, and it's something you can't forget as you're creating your story. The villain really sees himself as in the right place, doing the right thing, and he will portray himself that way in this story. So your job in creating your mystery is to reveal the villain layer by layer as he moves through the story. So we have how the villain relates to other characters, especially the other suspects, and the lies he tells to hide his secret, and his stated beliefs in dialogue, and then how other characters see his relationship with the victim, and the action clue or dialogue that is misread by the sleuth, and ultimately the action clue or dialogue that reveals the murder to the sleuth, that reveals the villain's guilt. In your background, you want to focus on the relationship between the villain and the victim, because their relationship is the basis for murder and the sleuth's involvement. And think of ways the two connected, and then the ways things went wrong, and finally the one incident that tipped the villain to commit the murder. So how did the villain and the victim get together in the first place? Have they known each other a long time? Was this somebody new in their life? And at some time, was their relation positive? This really works with, love things that have gone wrong and things like that. And Was their relation positive at the beginning, or at least did the villain perceive it as positive, even if it wasn't? And then you, as the story creator, need to know what it is that the victim did in the villain's eyes that triggered the impulse to commit murder. So when you do your villain background, like any research that you do, you may use only 20% of it in the actual story that you write. But experienced writers know that rich background allows for opportunities to use details as they are writing. So the more you know about your villain, the easier it is to select from everything you've created the one thing that fits for this relationship with a particular suspect, or the relationship with the victim itself, or the way that the villain relates to your sleuth. So even you, the writer, may not know which details you use as you're creating your background until you are actually writing the story. But what it gives you is a rich field to dig through and mine and harvest all those details, the ones that you really need, the ones that you really write. I know for seasoned writers, you know that as you're writing, even if you have a scene kind of outlined as you're writing, characters say and do things that you didn't expect, and then you're like, woo! And that's often the perfect opportunity to pull one of those details about your villain out and use it in the story. So writing a believable and concealed villain for a mystery requires consideration on your part of how you present and reveal their beliefs and actions. You may feel that all the clues you plant are obvious because you know who committed the murder, but if you balance the villain's view of himself and his actions as good, you can save that hidden reality until the final reveal, and your sleuth and your readers will appreciate your skill. So thank you very much, and I always love feedback, so be sure to get in touch if you have any questions about creating your villain or writing your villain or how they fit in your mystery story. Always happy to hear from people. And I want to thank ConvertKit, email system for creators, for their sponsorship, and you can check the details in the show notes. And I will see you next time. Happy writing.